Hello everyone, I hope you're all fine. Today I'm excited to show you how I created this project. If you're new to Blender and you want to learn car animation, this tutorial is made for you. We're going to cover different topics like object import, car animation on a path, how to create a realistic road, scene setup like buildings, street lamps, people, etc., lighting, water drops with particles, render settings, composition in DaVinci Resolve and After Effects. I know there is a lot to cover, so let's dive in. For the car, if you don't have a model already rigged, you can check my last tutorial where I show how to get free vehicles and how to rig them. Or you can simply download my C63 AMG for free. Yep, it's the one I use in my video. It's a professional car ready for animation that I offer with the collaboration of Ashworth Cars. The different links will be in the description. Okay, let's import the car in our scene. First, I'm going to delete the default cube, the poor cube. You go in File, Append, and you look for the file you just downloaded, the car. So mine, I think, is here. Yep, you select the blend file, you click on Append, you go in Object, you press A with your keyboard, and Append again. So normally, here you will have the car in your scene. Then you select all the objects starting with WGT. Select everything and you press H to hide. So as you can see now, you have your car imported in your scene. It's already rigged, so ready for animation. Now let's install the Rig a Car add-on. It's an add-on that will help us for the animation. The link will be in the description. So you go here on digitcreators.net and you click on rigacar.zip and you download the version 7. To install this add-on, you go in Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, Install, and you look for the add-on, the file that you just downloaded. So mine, I think it's in plugin, yep, Rig a Car add-on. You click on Install add-on. Then you should have the add-on here, and you just have to activate the checkbox here. And normally, if you click on the car and on the rig, you press N, and you will have the Rig a Car add-on here. Okay, so we have the add-on installed. We have everything that you need to start the animation. As I told you, for the car animation, the method I use is to create a path that the car will follow. So let's do this. First, I will delete this light. You press Shift A, you go in Curve and Path. Let's move this path a little bit. So G, X to move it on the X axis. So before we rotate this path, I would like to check its direction. So you go in Edit Mode. You can go in Edit Mode here, or you can just select the path and press Tab. And then you go here in Viewport Overlays, and you select Normals. So now you can see what is the direction of the path with those little arrows. So I go back in Object Mode, and now I will rotate this on the Z axis, so like this, so minus 90 degrees. So if I check again, I can see that I am on the right direction. Let's scale it a little bit, so S, and like this. Perfect. And now that we have a path, of course we will design our path a little bit better after, but the first thing we are going to do is to attach the car to this path. And to do so, you click on the rig and you go in pose mode. So to go in pose mode, you can come here again and click pose mode, or you can simply press Ctrl Tab on your keyboard to go in pose mode. When you will be in pose mode, it will be indicated here, and you have the rig in colors. So you will select the blue one, this one, and you go in bone constraint properties. Okay, it's very important, the blue one, the blue bone constraint properties, and you click on Add Bone Constraint, and you select Follow Path. Okay, then we're gonna tell him which path to follow. So you can select the path we just created, and maybe I'm gonna name my path. Okay, now we have the car attached to the path. Because we want the car to follow this path, we click on Follow Curve, and we want the offset to go from 0 to 1. It will be easier for us for the animation, so you will click on Fixed Position here. actually the car is going the wrong direction, because if I move the offset factor, as I told you, from 0 to 1, as you can see, it's working fine, but not in the correct direction. To fix that, we know that this is the y-axis, okay? When it's going in this direction, it's the y-axis, and for us, the car will go in this direction. So the forward axis is minus y. So here we select minus y, and now we have the car in the right direction. But one more thing, the car, if we do this offset factor again 0 to 1, as you can see, it's not starting at the beginning of the path and it's not ending at the end of the path. So to fix that, you select your car and you go here on object properties. Okay, object properties. And if you don't have the car starting at the right place, you should have something here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this y coordinate. And now I have the car starting exactly at the right position. Let's see how to animate the car on the path. So we are still in pose mode. You click on the rig, the blue one. You go in bound constraint properties and you place your mouse, your cursor on the offset factor on frame 1. On the offset factor at value 0, you press I on the keyboard to insert a keyframe. And for example, let's go in frame 100. And now the offset factor, you put the value 1, sorry. As you can see now, we are at the end of the path. And I again to insert another keyframe. If I go back in frame 1 and I press spacebar on the keyboard, you have this animation. Perfect. And this is how we are going to animate the car on the path. But one thing, here, as you can see, the car is accelerating at the beginning and slowing down at the end. And it might be something you want for a project, but for this project, we want the car to have a linear animation, a linear speed. So to do that, you go back in the timeline here, you press A on your keyboard to select all the keyframes, right click, interpolation mode, and you choose linear. And now if I play the animation again, you will see that the car has the same speed during all the path. Okay, one more thing. Here, for this example, if I select the rig again, okay, we see that we have 100 frames to do the whole path. Okay, so if we want the car to be slower, for example, we could add some more frames. For example, 150, oops, sorry, just the other one, the end, I mean, 150 frames. And now you allow the car to do this same distance, but this time on 150 frames. It means that it's going to be slower. If you want the car to be faster, you just put 40 frames, for example, and now you do it again. And as you can see, my car is much faster. So this is how we are going to control the speed of the car when we will have finished to design our path. And this is exactly what we are going to do now to finalize our path. So we are still in pose mode. We need to go back in object mode. Select the path, and actually it's around 20 meters long. Let's make it 330 meters long, and I will explain to you why after. Click on the car, go back in pose mode, click on the blue rig, and you already have 2 keyframes normally, and maybe you have 1 keyframe at 40 frames like me. What you're going to do, you're going to move the end, the second keyframes, to the end of the animation. Let's say we want our animation to be 250 frames. Okay, so let's see. Go back in object mode and press spacebar. Now, as you can see, our car is moving along the path, and the path is 330 meters long. But it's really difficult to tell when we'll have all the buildings, all the stuff. Is this speed good enough, or is it fast enough, or is it too slow? So to know exactly what is the speed of your car, it's very easy. It's just some math. If we go in the output properties, you notice that we are actually at 24 frames per second. We actually have 250 frames divided by 24. That's 10 seconds, 0.4. So the car is taking 10.4 seconds to travel the 330 meters. So let's do some math. Don't worry, it's going to be quick. So I just said 330 meters, 10.4 seconds. So 330 meters is like 0.33 kilometers and 10.4. So if we need the speed in kilometer per hour, what is the distance for 3,600 seconds? So the distance will be, equal this, multiply by this, and maybe, and divide by this. So it's around 114 kilometer hour per second. And I think 114 kilometer hour per second is a very good speed if we consider that our animation will be in the middle of the town on a small street with a lot of cars around. So that's why I think this distance is pretty good. But now you know how to calculate the speed of your car. So feel free to change any values to match your need to fit your project. I used to do that by eye, but I think it's more accurate to do that using this little calculation in order to check if your car is fast enough for your animation. In conclusion, let's make a path that is 330 meters long. The way we scale our path is not good, but I wanted to do it like that to show you a common issue that people have. If I select my path and I go in edit mode, and let's select a control point. If I move it on the x-axis, as you can see, my car is flipping around. Let me show you. Here again, look at my car. So you see it's flipping around. And this is really a common issue that people have when they scale directly the path using the X dimension. So let's fix that. Let's go back in 21 meters. And now, if you move the control point again on the X-axis, as you can see, it's working just fine. To give the correct length to our path, we are going to extrude the last control point here. So you click on the last control point, you press E and Y to extrude on the Y-axis. And you do it a few times, like that. You will understand why we need several control points and maybe a last time. And if I check, I have now my path, which is a little bit long. So let me scale it down, just like that. Okay, that's perfect. And now, if I move the control point and I go back in edit mode, and I move the control point, maybe this one, it's working just fine. Okay, and now I can create curves on my path, and my car will follow it correctly. So remember, if you have this issue, your car flipping around when you try to add some curves to your path, you should not scale it directly, but you should add some control points using the extrude function in edit mode. Okay, now to make our animation a little bit sexy, because let's be honest, at the moment it's pretty ugly, let's curve our path. At this point, I will curve it a little bit, so G, X, like that. No, maybe it's too hard, so I will move this control point here and do the curve here, like that. Yeah, I prefer that. Okay, and maybe this one also a little bit. Okay, cool. And let's add a curve here also, maybe the other side, just like that. And why not here? Another curve here. And let's see. Okay, cool. So now I have some curves on my path. So the animation is a little bit more interesting. Let's check again. Last time, yes. You see your car is moving and following the curves. So now it's up to you how many curves you want, how big you want your curves. You just have to play with those control points. You press G and X to move your path on the X-axis to create a curve. Now you know how to create some sexiness on your path. Just add some curves and don't forget to extrude your path when you want to make it longer. Now let's finalize the car animation, and in order to do so, let's place the camera behind the car, because this is what I wanted for this project, to have the camera following the car from behind. So I click on the car and you place your view behind the car, you click on your camera and you press Ctrl-Alt-0 on your keyboard. If you can't reframe your camera like me, it's maybe because you don't have in the view tab, you don't have the camera to view activated. If you don't have it activated, anytime you will move the camera, you will go out of the camera view. So if you want to stay in the camera view, you just check this box, camera to view. And now you can reframe your shot. So click on camera and go to frame 1 and you press I on your keyboard. You press 0 to go out and go on frame 250, you click on your car and Ctrl-Alt-0 again. Don't forget to click on your camera and I again to insert another keyframe at 250 frames. So now, if I go in camera view and I play the animation, you have this. But because our car is on an interpolation mode linear, we have to do the same for the camera. Okay. And now our camera is following our car. Actually, let me just correct one thing in order to see correctly the car. At the end, I want my camera to be more like this maybe. Okay, and I press I again. So now, yes, now my camera is correctly following my car. Kinda. So why I wanted to have this camera behind the car right now? It's because I wanted to animate this control for the centrifugal force. To help with this animation, we are going to split our screen. So you go on the top left corner until you have this little crosshair and you drag your screen in the middle. On the left panel, you click on 0 to activate the camera view. You go in view. If you don't have those tabs, you just press N. You go in view and you untick camera to view. Then you press plus on your numpad until you have the camera filling your screen. And now if you want, you can tick again camera to view. Okay, let's animate this control now. You go in the middle of the curve, of your curve, so maybe around here, and you go in pose mode. You select the control you want to animate. You press G and X to move it on the X-axis. And by I, you check what your car should do if you apply the centrifugal force. Maybe something like that. When you're happy, you press I on your keyboard. But now, your car is always in this position. So you have to start the animation at a point. So maybe we could start the animation at the beginning of the curve. So maybe here. So here, you click on the control again, on item, and you put the X to 0. So it's going back to the original position. And now you press I again. So if you check the animation now, as you can see, my car is simulating the fact that the centrifugal force is applied to it. Okay, perfect. And let's say that it should become normal just there. So item again, X 0 to go back to the origin, and I. So now you see, I add some realism to my animation because I have applied the centrifugal force. All you have to do is to create one keyframe at position 0, then you go in the middle of your curve and you move this control until you have something you like, and you add another keyframe and then the last keyframe to go back to the origin. And you can do that for all the curves you have on your path. And this is why I wanted this camera on the back already, because I know that the final camera animation will be from behind. So now I can already check if it's looking good. Even if it's not the final camera animation, I can already tell that it's working for me. Let's take care of the last animations now, the steering and the wheels. And thanks to the Rig Car add-on, it's very easy to do. So you just click on the rig, you go in the Rig Car add-on, and you click Bake Car Steering. OK. And Bake Wheel Rotations. OK. As you can see now, we have key points created automatically by the add-on. And now, if you look at the camera here, we have our wheels and steering animated, just like that. Perfect. The car animation is over, and we can focus now on building the scene. And we will start with the road. Let's close this panel for now. So you go in the middle until you have those two arrows, and right-click, join areas, and you close this one. We go back in object mode, Shift A, and mesh plane. That will be our road. And for the dimensions, you press N. You go in item to see this item dimension. And we want the road to be 14 meters on the X and 7 meters on the Y axis. Let's rotate this plane. So rotation on the Z axis, 90 degrees. Perfect. And now we are going to texture this plane. For the texture of the road, you will need some files. Those files, and I will put the link in the description so you can follow along. You click on your plane and you go in shading, because we are going to take care of the material on the road. Once you are in shading, be sure to be on the material preview mode. We already have the plane selected, and now we click on new to add the principal BSDF, so we can start to create the material for the road. Here, you can change the color of the road if you want, but in our case, we are going to use an image for that, for the base color. So in the files you just downloaded for the road, you will take this file, the base color one, and you drag and drop it in the shader editor. And of course, what we're going to do, we are going to link the color of this image to the base color. And now, as you can see, we already have a very good looking road. And of course, it's not over. We need some details. So now, same thing. We are going to take the normal and the roughness. So you can select both files and drag them in the shader editors. Where is my roughness? Okay. For the roughness, you're going to connect it to the roughness, of course. And you will have something like that, very glossy. But it's okay for the moment. And let's do the same for the normal. But although I could connect the normal directly to the normal map, we're not going to do that. First, let's add another node named bump. So to add a node, you press Shift A, click on search, and you type the node name. So bump in our case. And here, the color to the normal. Let me zoom a little bit. And the normal to the normal. So now we have more details on the road. Actually, we only have one image which is giving information to the base color. What I want now is to have two images to give information to the base color. So for that, we have to add a new node, Shift A, and the name is Mix RGB. So you click on Mix RGB and you place it here. Nothing is changing, but now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the roughness and add it as color 2. And now, if I go all the way to 1, it's not looking good, of course, but you can see that we are using a lot of information from the roughness. And let's do something very subtle. Yeah, maybe 0.3 is okay. And let's do the same thing for the normal, but this time we are going to plug the roughness to the 8. So color to the 8. And now look at this. We have a beautiful road. Maybe it's a little bit too much. So I will lower the strength here until I have something that I like. Yes, I think it's okay. Maybe a little bit less. Just like that. So it's up to you now, up to your taste, to create the texture that you will need for your project. Now that we have a beautiful road, let's place it in our scene. I go back in layout, And because my curves are mainly on the left side, I will move my car on the right side of the road. So G, Shift Z, just like that. Now let's duplicate this road using an array modifier. So you click on modifier properties, add modifier and array. Actually the road is going on the wrong side. So for the factor x, it's not 1 but -1. And let's duplicate the road now. So on count, you just raise the count. And you want to go a little bit more further than the end of the path. Maybe 40 for my case. Okay, it looks fine, but there is, I think, one issue here. Because my curve is a little bit too big for the road. Yeah, just here. So the lazy solution that I will use now is to scale the road on the x-axis. So you click on the road and you press S for scale and X to scale it on the x-axis. And I go for something like that. Yes, it's good. Okay, there is another solution that I don't want to use. The other solution would be to add another modifier. Let me go back in frame 1. So you click on the road, in the modifier properties, you add another modifier, a curve modifier. And you select, for the curve, you select the path. So now, as you can see, my road is following the path. But this is not something you want, this is not something I want for this animation, because it's pretty boring. Let me show you. So here, as you can see, my car is always following the road. So it's a little bit boring for me. Let me show you the difference. If we don't add this modifier, so the curve one, we just delete, so we are on the straight line for the road. And now, as you can see, my car is a little bit more crazy. It's going on the wrong side of the road, etc., etc. So it's more like a bad boy stuff, you know? And this is exactly what I want for this animation. I don't want the car to follow the road, but I want the car to be crazy and go on all sides of the road. Now we need some sidewalks, but because it's not a modeling tutorial and I don't want it to be 10 days long, I decided to just give you the assets so you can follow along. For your information, this sidewalk is coming from my city pack. The link will be in the description. If you have a slow computer or you need background objects for your animations and stills, my city pack is perfect for that. You will have tons of buildings, skyscrapers, street decorations for your project. So if you like my work or you want to support the channel, that would be a great way to do so. Okay, when you have downloaded the sidewalk file, you just open it and you should have a sidewalk. You click on it, Ctrl C to copy, and you go back in your scene, Ctrl V to paste. Okay, now I just move the sidewalk, and for the rotation, you just put 0 on the Z rotation, and I press 7 to go on the top view. You click on the sidewalk, G, Shift Z, and you move it along the road like this. You just want to cross the road a little bit, so JX first, like this, it's okay, and JZ to move it on the Z axis. Yep, that's okay, perfect. And now we will do what we did for the road. So you click on the sidewalk, you go in modifier properties, add modifier, array, and this time the array is on the Y, no, -1 for the Y, perfect. Yes, good. And you just add the counts to match your road. Something like that. The sidewalk is a little bit small, so I will add another one. So I just click on the sidewalk and I press Alt D and GX to move it like that, so it's a little bit wider. And maybe GZ, oh sorry, this one, GZ, and I will lower it. Yes, now it's good. You copy both of them and Ctrl J to join. You select the sidewalk and Alt D to duplicate and GX to move it. And we have to turn it around, so 180 degrees. Yes, good. Let me go in top view again. GY to move it. like that, GY, and now we just have to move it on the x-axis, and we are all good. Now we have the sidewalks in place. If we play the animation, we can feel that there is something off with the car movements. Actually, there is no bumps, and it feels like we are driving in a living room. So to fix that, we are going to create some irregularities on the road. You click on the road, then you press Tab to go in edit mode, right click, subdivide, you click just here, and 60 would be enough, 60 cuts, yes, perfect. And then let's add another modifier on the road. So you click on modifier properties, and add modifier, and you select displace. Okay, and now we can add a texture for this modifier, so you click on new, and now you go in texture. There is the texture here, so let's rename it like road bumps. I like to go for clouds. So now, as you can see, if we go in the camera view, there is a lot of bumps on the road, but the issue is our car is not following those bumps. It's like ignoring everything on the road, but we don't want that. We want the car to react to those bumps. I click on the rig, I go in the Rig Car add-on, and here you have ground sensors. And we are going to tell the rig that the road is displaying. So for each different sensor, you select here, or this little Photoshop thing, color thing, and you select the road for all the different sensors. So now we have the plane selected everywhere. If we go back, now as you can see, our car is following the bumps correctly. Okay, now obviously it's a little bit too much. So let's fix the texture. Size 1.3 and depth 3. And then you go back in the modifier properties. And for the strength, I will lower it to 0.06. Okay, let's see again now. And now you see our car is moving like there were little bumps on the road. So it's adding again to the realism of the animation. I'm very sorry, the tutorial is already 30 minutes long and I prefer not to rush the other parts. So allow me a couple of days and I will finalize the next video, including some surprises for you guys. If you have questions, please ask them in the comment section. I will be happy to help and I answer fairly quickly to all comments. Stay tuned for the final part of this tutorial. Take care.